I'm sorry. Okay. This is Sergeant Bernard. Is everyone all right in there?
As long as everybody stays calm, nobody gets hurt. I have a bomb, and I'm gonna kill myself and everybody in here. My demands, and I'm there.
Congratulations on Breaking.
Thank you.
It's not an easy movie to watch, but it feels like a very important story to tell. What appealed to you most about this project?
Oh, the most. I think it was the story in itself. I was, first of all, shocked that I hadn't heard about it. It kind of came across as a story that happened so far along the line. I'm sure we would have heard about it, but it was the shock of not being exposed to such a unique, nuanced, different story was definitely an attraction that I had for the script. And I think it was written very, very well. I was moved to emotions while reading it. And for me, I looked back at the stuff that I've done before and I saw in the opportunity in this and go, this is a chance for me to do that actor stuff that I was talking about, where I can transform, shave my head, wear glasses and be someone completely different. So they gave an opportunity for that.
The guy in the gray hoodie is robbing the bank.
Who's in charge here?
Well, she is, but we're both.
I'm the manager. Estelle Valerie.
Still, once they leave, you lock the front and back doors, you understand me? You lock them all.
It was a transformational performance, absolutely. Because I hadn't heard this story before, and I thought the same thing. I thought, you're like, how have I not heard about Brian Brown-Easley? And do you think part of that is because you're British, I'm Australian? Do you think maybe this sort of stuff just happens in America all the time?
Well, I don't even know. Because it's not like I know about the history of various bank heists or whatever. Bank robberies in this vein, but I do think with the vets and their relation to the military and then trying to get back into society after coming back can be a very American topic that a lot of people speak about the most. But I was still surprised that I didn't. Atlanta is a major city. I have family and friends in Atlanta. I was surprised I didn't hear about Brian's story.
Well, tell me about Brian Brown-Easley. Like, what do you know about him now? How would you describe him?
I'll definitely describe him as a complicated man who had to go through some really bad circumstances. I definitely know that he was mentally vulnerable in the sense that you were somebody who was pushed to the edge and didn't see, in your perspective, any answer but this path. He was a nerd just like me. He probably would have watched, all the Star Wars movies that I did, which was cool to learn that he was into all of that kind of stuff. And that, those circumstances made him battle between two sides, a side that was much more loud that you see in the movie, angry, frustrated, confused, and a side that's much more quiet, subtle, empathetic, couldn't hurt a fly. And those were the two dynamics that made me go, yeah, this is Brian. Makes me so excited to portray him as an actor.
And the production worked with his family, I understand. Did you have much contact with them at all?
Yeah, I did. Specifically, his ex-wife, just to talk about who she knew intimately, who she knew for a long amount of time. And it really, really helped in guidance towards playing Brian, because it comes with an added responsibility playing someone who lived and who has kin that are still alive. So that responsibility was definitely helped by having access to the family and having discussions with them.
Yeah, that's interesting. You talk about the responsibility when you're playing someone who actually lived, to kind of find out who they were as a person. So when you're approaching making this movie from scene to scene, like, what are you focused on from a performance perspective? Because your performance is fantastic, mate.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I think the biggest thing is the script becomes, your Bible, Brian as if it's your sibling, as if it's you. And then you live within each scene, or know your lines. And then you live within each scene as the character. A lot of acting is responding to what happens, the circumstances, and through the research from Abby and then the guidance of my director also, it just helps fine tune you as you go through each scene. And we also had formulas, like Abby would come and be like, John, can I get a version when you do the quieter Brian, like he's more calm down? And then she'll come and do like, John, can I get the version when you just bring it right up? And so we would calibrate it in that way.
And compared to some roles, you know, where you talk about responding, you know, like you're responding to a scene partner or you're responding to some other sort of stimulus. A lot of this film is you driving it, like it's coming from you. Is that a harder from your perspective?
No, not really. Once the information is given, the environment just speaks for itself, and then you just roll with it. I mean, you know, imagine you as yourself as Ben walking into a bank as an actor with the bag on your shoulder, and everybody's in. It's a bank environment. Like you feel the pressure of being the guy that's about to dictate the energy of everybody else, and you know the way the script goes. So you're just like, all right, well, I guess I have to hold up this bank now. Like it's just the energy is so much on you, but it's fun as an artist. There's something fun about that, you know, because you knowing that you're going to follow the script in these emotional beats, but your actresses and your extras on set don't know what to expect sometimes. And I was able to, you know, add that into the performance as Brian. So I felt really happy about coming in, and sometimes it solely coming from Brian's character.
Man, it was amazing. Like it was really fantastic. And there's one really powerful scene where Brian's in the VA office, you know, is trying to finally kind of get some sort of answer on where his money's gone. And the woman just sort of cold-heartedly, although with good intentions, hands him this pamphlet that's titled Homelessness and
You're
You.
home insecure. Yeah.
Which is it's just like the perfect way to sum up this sort of heartless bureaucracy. Like in making this movie, did you get a new appreciation for how some people, especially like returned vets, fall through the cracks of our society?
Yeah, big time. And as I said in the previous interview, after the trailer was released, I started to see the effects. Because I went out to shopping and was stopped in the shopping mall, and people were like, yo, this film speaking about my dad, or you're speaking about someone I know. I had a specific vet came in. He's a vet, and he came up to me and let me know that he felt like this was a movie that portrayed a frustration that he couldn't articulate, that he didn't have the platform to explain to everybody that this is what happens to us when we go and fight for you. And that he would be watching the movie with his friend for support, you know, and he would take that in. And for me, that was special because I was like, wow, we're really showing people a perspective that they even want people to see, or it's opening their eyes to something that they haven't seen before.
Yeah, that's right. So opening people's eyes, right? And this is the amazing thing to me. And it's like, I don't want to be glib about it, but, you know, as Finn, you played a stormtrooper who had PTSD. And that probably is easier for people to kind of identify with than Brian's story, who is a real guy who went through this stuff in real life. Does that seem crazy to you?
No, I don't really know. I don't know. Like, I definitely feel like, you know, people will see the human sides of Finn's kind of detachment from the stormtrooper world. But I guess because this is a character study and you see the actual PTSD symptoms in Brian, you know, he starts to speak about things that don't really correlate to the environment there. He's sweaty and quivery and sometimes speaking elaborately about different subjects and doesn't, you know, you don't quite know where his mind is at certain points. I think that goes deeper into it on a human level. Whereas with Finn, you can have a little bit of fun. I mean, you just detach from the stormtrooper place, but you can joke around and blow things up. Like, just Star Wars is a kind of different dynamic, but which is great, you know.
Yeah, well, look, John, like I'm a bit of a nerd as well, a bit of a Star Wars nerd as well. Like the original poster artwork signed by the artist.
The Rise of Skywalker. Oh, and the Rise of Skywalker too. All right.
Yeah, baby. So we got to talk some Star Wars. So, like, now that the dust has settled on all of that craziness, like, how do you process it, being involved in a project like that? What does it mean to you?
I think the processing of that has been done, really. For me now, I say now that I've graduated back to being a fan. And I call myself the ultimate super fan because I was actually in it. So it's
the best cosplay ever.
Yeah, right, exactly. And so I've just been enjoying the expansion of the universe. Like, I mean, I'm so jealous of what they get to do in Mandalorian. It's so good. Shouts out to John Favreau, man, like killing it on that. And I really did enjoy Ewan in Obi-Wan. That was nice. And I enjoyed, you know, my guy Hayden Christensen coming back, mate, as my guy Anakin. That's
I interviewed Hayden Christensen before Obi-Wan came out, and man, it was fascinating to talk to him because he kind of went on this. He went off into the wilderness after
I really thoroughly enjoyed his interviews. Actually, I read where he spoke about his detachment from it, and he felt appreciative of the fans showing him love after so much time away, you know, and where he felt he had a rocky experience with it. And I'm glad that he came back and he's getting the love, man, because I loved him from the start. I don't know why they wasn't, you know, that's my guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're a real fan. You're a real fan.
Anakin is my guy. So you know, I've always said that that's the dude that they need to bring out and do right, and I'm glad that they did.
And so, was your experience anything like that, or was yours just all good?
Oh no. I mean, I've expressed honestly about my experiences, a mixture of many things. But at this stage, you know, it's great to kind of like just put that behind you, move on to just better things, you know.
Yeah, well, and The Woman King is another fantastic film that you were involved in. Like, I really, really enjoyed that.
Thank you.
What does Viola Davis have to do to get an Oscar nomination?
I don't know. At this point, I kind of want you lot to give her box office too. Go see the movies. Go and see the movies, please. Just a few hours. Go see them. You know, for me, I'm an actor that I'm also have an emphasis on audience. Because there's just something about that when they watch it and they understand your art. I mean, that gives you more of a footprint in longevity than anything. But then definitely for those who do find it important to be recognized by these institutions, yeah, there should be a sense of recognition. She transformed her body, done all these things for it. And I definitely feel like, yeah, there should have been something, yeah, for sure.
And some real emotion in that role as well, you know? Like it's...
For me, The Woman King was my favorite movie of 2022.
Yeah.
And then Top Gun was second for me. But I just feel like she brought something to it that was...
I can tell you're a movie fan, which is a strange thing to say because obviously you work in the industry, but like not all actors are like, you know, like fans.
Oh, yeah. Like I'm only establishing that now, that the most humble thing to say as an actor is that you don't watch yourself in your own movies. Like, I just realized that's like a thing. Like, I don't watch myself in my own movies because it's just, you know, No, I watch that. I watch it like I'm not in it. You know, everybody else is in it.
Yeah, I love that.
So,
and so
I'm glad I still have that enthusiasm to watching films, TV. I'm glad that I still have that.
Man, you have to. Have you gone back and watched Attack the Block recently? It's such a good movie.
Absolutely. We're working on the sequel, so we've had to go back and watch. Yeah. The sequel is in development. So we've had to most definitely go back and watch the first because London has changed in over 10 years. It's been a long time.
Man, it's incredible. And what a ride you've had since then. But does it feel that even in the time that you've been in the industry, that there are more interesting stories to tell for actors of color?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like behind the scenes, there are more efforts and there are more people stepping up, like more people that are kind of tired of just being part of a conversation, an endless conversation, and are actually setting their own production companies, providing opportunities for other people, sharing information. And that's kind of ricochet to a point where all people are kind of involved in that from all different works of life in order to share opportunity, but also to deal with the issue that Hollywood has a bit, which is a drought on good original stories and interesting perspectives as our audience get more intelligent, more or less inclined to leave their house and come to the movie theater. So we've had to step up, and I think, you know, rightly so. And a part of that is making sure you're not going to the same people thinking that they can tell a story at different times. Like, you got to go to different people for those different perspectives. And obviously, it's not just color, culture, it's also talent, you know, and work ethic, all that other stuff sprinkled in there, the duality of that. So I'm happy that those special individuals are being found, and I'm just trying to be a part of doing more and opening more doors.
Man, it's awesome. It's great to see. Long overdue, that's for sure. And so let's wrap it up by coming back to Breaking. Like, when people are watching this movie, like, what do you hope that they take away from it?
I think it's a new perspective. I think the world's getting a bit sensitive, like a bunch of lactating nipples sometimes, just dripping everywhere, just always just reacting to everything. It just feels like we actually need to learn how to coexist with people's differences. And movie gives us that chance. No one's trying to debate you to see this perspective. They're trying to argue with you into seeing this. You get to watch and actually see what kind lead someone to make controversial choices that are sometimes easy to judge. Oh, wait, he walked into a bank and told her he's got control of the bank sellers, bad man. You know, this teaches us the systematic failures that sometimes leads to these extreme reactions, especially when the mental health is not fully dealt with. So I just hope people get that new perspective that informs the way they live their lives and make certain decisions.
Yeah, and that's it. And it's like, and who's the villain here, right? Like, is it Brian or is it the police sniper who took that shot, like without being told to do it?
But then also he is also a symptom of a system, and you know, you have to imagine how is it explained to him, you know, why they come in so hard. You just have to imagine all of those different dynamics, and it changes you and changes how you see things. And I hope that does the same for people who watch this movie. And
that's because like times have changed as well, right? Like you maybe go back 10, 15 years ago and the police sniper is a hero for ending the siege. Now with, you know, George Floyd and a lot of other stuff that's happened, like we have a very different we're more so like, whoa, hold on, let's know the details of this circumstance. I, for one, try to not be baited into any kind of overreaction. It's about actually taking it seriously, knowing the details before you react, seeing the truth in a scenario and not trying to be biased or try to push an agenda. It's trying to actually create more of a world where we could just be tolerant a little bit more. Look, we're gonna have things where we disagree. I'm not going to agree. I'm someone who has my things that I agree with, has my things that I disagree with. But the film kind of shows you how do we get to a point where we coexist and have empathy. And I think Breaking would do just that. Yeah, maybe use less of this and more of these.
Yeah, as I said I said that in my previous interview too. And that's a lesson that we all need to continuously learn, eh?
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for the chat. Thank you for the Thank you for the lactating nipples metaphor.
I don't know. I've been saying that for years. I mean, that's how I feel sometimes.
Well, that's good, man. All right. Congratulations again on the movie. Great to talk to you.